Good morning, everybody. Welcome to South Kingstown Technical Review Committee. Today's date is October 8th, 2025, 9:05 a.m. First item of business is call of order. Members present this morning are Mark Conboy, Town Engineer, as well as Dennis Bernier, Union Fire District Fire Marshal, myself, Jamie Gorman, Building Official, as well as Susan Axelrod from the Planning Board and Carol Craig from the Conservation Commission. We also have Jay Parker, Deputy Planning Director, and Lynn Smith as Planning Associate. Second item of business is B, approval of minutes, May 14th, August 13th, and September 10th. Has everybody reviewed the minutes? Hearing nothing, so are we going to continue this to the next meeting?
Did the minutes go out to this? Okay. Yeah, they were. They are. I mean, so if there is a level of comfort, you can just table it until next month.
Yeah, we'll table that. I'll make the motion to table that till next month's November's meeting. Motion by myself, Mr. Gorman, second by Susan Axelrod. All in favor? Motion carries. Item C, TRC review. Item 1, Lombardi Coastal Community Overlay District review, which is for the construction of an addition to the southwest side of an existing cottage. Is there anybody here present to speak on this matter? Good morning. Can you step to the podium, please?
Just to clarify, this was not in everyone's packet, I don't believe was, and so we're going to try to do this on. We're going to just do this on the fly since it's a CCOD. It's an addition to a house down in the. Yeah, we have the file. We'll put it up on the screen for everybody to see.
If you could just state your name, spell your last name, please, for the record.
Yeah, I'm looking good. If you get this picture here, you're usually in good shape. Whoops.
I can be loud. Try again?
Yes, please.
All right, it's Pamela Lombardi, Lombardi.
And could you state for the record the address, the Rowan Cottage number?
The cottage, it's 240 Cards Pond Road, it's at Roy Carpenter's Beach, and it's cottage 14 East, number 6.
Can you just tell us, walk us through what you're proposing, please?
Sure, it's a 20 by 20 cottage. There's an existing shed that juts out 4 feet. What I wanted to do was extend out the 4 feet on that side of the house to put an outdoor shower, an indoor shower, and storage shed. So it won't encroach on the neighbors any further than the existing footage.
I'll just make note for the record that Director of Public Services has just sat down as part of the committee now. So could you go over the footprint of the addition?
Can I go over the footprint?
Yeah, and the
Okay.
purpose, this is for a shower?
An
enclosure?
outdoor shower, an indoor shower room, and storage
And so the total dimensions of the addition?
would be 20 feet in length, 4 feet out wide.
Bless you.
Can I ask a question? To clarify, Pam, you said that there's already, the shed piece is already
the
there.
shed is
So
already
you're just extending the length, it's not going to, yeah, you're just extending so that the entire side of the house is the same
Exactly.
square, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I get that.
And so just for the board members, this would be, a minor modification for a coastal community overlay district structure. There's certain allowances, up to 25% expansion, and provided that the separation between cottages isn't reduced. Based on your site plan, it looks like it's
Right.
maintaining that 13-foot plus dimension. So certainly we can go around the room and address any concerns. Dennis?
I have no concerns, thank you.
Mark?
I have no concerns.
Rich?
No, I have no concerns.
Susan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just curious, is there presently no shower at the house?
There's a shower stall, it's inside one of the bedrooms.
Does that matter for water usage or any other kind of thing to add 2 showers?
There won't be 2 showers.
You're an indoor and an outdoor, and then you're taking away the one that's inside the house?
Right.
Okay. I assume water usage doesn't change for adding a shower
I mean,
in a way that it matters?
I believe you're only allowed a gray water system, correct?
Yeah,
On the
yeah.
property?
Most of the beach houses down there have outdoor showers. There was one, we just haven't, it was taken down about 10, 15 years ago. So the platform still exists. We just want to enclose that.
Do you know if this is serviced by a private well or if this is tied into the town
Private
water?
wells, yeah, it's not part of the town water. It's
Okay.
only the last 2 rows of houses down there. This is in the 14th row. Rows 19 and 20 are attached to the town water.
And so typically, I mean, water usage is based on the bedroom rather than the number of showers or bathrooms. But is this just for convenience that
Yeah.
you're? Okay. Is that it, Susan? Okay, how about you, Carol?
I'm okay with this, it looks good.
It looks minor. That's all I have to say is really that it meets the requirements of the ordinance to be approved by the committee. Certainly, if this is approved, you'd just be subject to obtain a building permit.
Of course.
And the authorization from the property owner, if that's known. But does anybody want to make a motion on this application?
I can make that motion.
Motion made by Susan. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Carol. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Next item is TRC advisory review of 82 Main Street minor land development preliminary plan, which is for the construction of a mixed-use structure with 2 second-floor residential units and associated site improvements located at 82 Main Street, AP 57-1, Lot 73, owner Keystone LLC, applicant owner. Good morning.
Good morning. Zachary Neal, Neill.
All right, Zachary, could you go over, where we are today from where we were last time?
Yeah, of course. So we're proposing to build a mixed-use building on the corner lot of Main and Hazard, which is 82 Main Street. There's no current existing structure there now. It's just a cleared lot. Our objective is to have office space and storage on the first floor, and then 2 residential 2-bedroom units on the second floor. And that has changed since we were originally here at the first planning board meeting. We initially proposed having 3 residential units, 1 being on the 3rd story, which is now just going to be used as storage space. And there is, we are seeking relief So we're seeking relief for a dimensional variance. Technically, we need 10,000 square feet of lot space to accommodate a mixed-use building, and we have 6,534. So we would need a dimensional variance of 3,466 square feet. We're also asking for a waiver of DEM approvals. We have submitted for the underground injection permit and the DEM stormwater and water quality permit. It's been known to us that DEM is backed up, so we have not been able to achieve those approvals at this time.
Okay, and so this, you have the reduction in the 3rd story unit is now storage space, is that correct?
Correct.
And so now you no longer need a variance from the parking regulations?
Yes, correct. So we have 5 parking spaces. 1 is ADA compliant, and that does meet the parking regulations for commercial downtown.
All right, do we want to go around the room? Dennis, any comments?
Most of my comments will be addressed during the plan review phase of this project. My question for what I'm looking for on the plan review side is, what is your idea for use for the business downstairs? Is it going to be like office space, or what are we looking at? Because I kind of saw a garage door in the back corner. I was curious.
Yeah, so the garage door is going to be elevated off the ground. So it's just going to be for solely loading in and out. So no vehicle will actually be able to drive into that garage space. And then, yeah, the rest is 5 office spaces, a little conference area, and a reception space.
Okay, thank you. Like I say, the rest will be addressed during the permitting and review stage. Thank you.
Mark?
Can we go back to the site plan? Down in the lower corner, the right-hand corner, you have the sewer service coming in from Hazard Avenue. The plan shows that sewer service going right through a utility pole. So that probably is going to have to
Okay, make an adjustment there.
make an adjustment there somehow. You probably want to be, I would think, at least 10 feet away from that pole.
Okay.
The other things that I noticed was the dumpster. How are you going to have access for the trucks to get that out when you have parking right next to it, the whole parking lot? The parking spaces are all blocking it.
I mean, it does back up to like the little hammerhead in the shape in the parking spot or the parking lot. So I think that that would probably be its easiest access there.
Okay. And my last question had to do with the stormwater runoff. And the upper corner, the upper right-hand corner is a proposed infiltration trench. And it looks like all the building and parking area is going to the underground system and not necessarily that infiltration trench. So when I looked at the calculations, they showed roughly about 4,000 square feet draining to that infiltration trench, but I don't see, I couldn't figure out what is actually draining to it, even looking at the watershed map. So I need some clarification on that.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there a UIC permit with this? He says he has. You have one already? You have the UIC permit already? It's under review?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
all right, sorry. All right, no, that's it, thank you.
Sure.
Susan?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I recall seeing, okay, first off, how big is the building? How many square feet is the building?
5,000? Closer to 4.
But that was also before we had the third floor.
I believe it's between 4,000 and 5,000.
Okay. So I recall when we talked with you collectively at Planning Board, there was a sentiment on the Planning Board that this building was very large and very close to the road and didn't fit that neighborhood on a scale. You know, it was an awfully large building for that site, and awfully large building, especially being so close to the road. And the other buildings in your neighborhood are, I mean, the cottage behind it is 500 square feet, but most of the houses in your neighborhood, I don't know about Keene Architecture next door, but everybody else is, 2,400 square feet at max. And this is significantly larger and closer to the road. And the Planning Board was concerned about the size, and I don't see that the size of it is changed. You've simply changed potentially the third floor use. Is that the difference here?
Yes, correct. I mean, yeah, I think that, we did our best to accommodate, for one, we're working with a small lot here, which is on Main Street. And, thanks to, Jason and Jamie Rabbit, who's not here, but, they gave us a ton of advice on, what you guys might like to, what the planning board might like to see. And that had to do with, parking in the rear of the building. So we did our best to accommodate that. We came here last time. We had more of a modern aesthetic on the building. That was a concern, that it might not fit the more Victorian, shingle style aesthetic that the neighborhood offers. So we did make those changes as well. In my opinion, this building actually, the aesthetic of it fits well on Main Street. I think it complements, the residential style of that kind of transitional period of Main Street, kind of from the more commercial to downtown. With that said, directly across the street from us is big brick square Verizon building. I think that, this building has a lot more to offer than, something like that. And I think just based on the size of it, I mean, it is on Main Street. It's not a monstrosity by any means. It's for the size of the lot, it might be a little bit big, but I don't think that it's going to stick out to be a large building. And with that said, I think we're even 4 feet below the height requirement for this area as well. So.
Thank you. First off, the architecture is fabulous. I am with you there. And I really appreciate the fact that you've put the parking around the back, because that is an aesthetic we're trying to go for Main Street. And thirdly, there's nothing you could design that would be uglier than that Verizon building. So, so thank you for not trying to compete with that. So the third floor is presently storage, but it's reasonable to assume that's going to become living accommodation at some point. Like that's I think, potentially where that is going to go?
I mean, I think ultimately we're really trying to accommodate like our storage needs as a small construction company in the area. And unfortunately, the way that the water table is here, we're not going to have a basement. So we did the best we could to kind of get our storage area on the first floor. And then, I mean, as of right now, you know, it's in our best interest to keep that third story storage space. I mean, I don't necessarily know if that's in our plans in the future, but as of now, it's just storage.
Okay. And then I just wanted to ask about the parking and whether or not you would consider reducing the parking out back, relying on on-street parking more, being able to push the house further back on the lot so that it's not hugged up against the sidewalk, which would also give you some more flexibility with landscaping, because the amount of green space on the site is very small. And would you in some way be able to reconfigure that back so that the house is pushed back, you've got more landscaping in the foreyard? Like all of your neighbors have pretty decent sized foreyard.
I mean, yeah, I think that it is already very difficult, like having enough space to pull in that parking lot and turn around. And I know that we do need the ADA parking space as well, so that does make it even more difficult. So I think that for the kind of the hardship that we're working with to get those 5 lots and not have to go for that extra variance, it feels like this is probably the best thing that we can do.
Okay. And then I also, I appreciate your use of natives on the property, but you've got a number of things here that are going to be, I think, not a whole lot to see for 6 months out of the year. Those ornamental grasses, they'll all, you know, in the wintertime, I wonder if you could add in some evergreens into that mix or something that will give it some winter berry or something with some more winter interest than the
Sure.
grasses, which will look great in July, but
Yeah.
maybe,
yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
not as seasonal as we would hope. Like there's everything here except for the boxwood is deciduous or will die back in the winter. And maybe put a little flexibility into adding some evergreens or something with some winter interest might be nice too.
Absolutely. We can definitely do that.
I think that's my only questions. Oh, so do you have a plan on, so the renting of the second floor apartments, are you planning to use those seasonally or year-round tenants or students, or what is your plan for your tenants?
It's undecided at the current moment. I think just like as our lives right now, we're leaning towards long-term yearly rentals there. You know, it's a whole other time-consuming thing to have a short-term rental, so I think that's ultimately our goal at this time.
That's something that our town desperately needs.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that effort that you'll make to put in families and year-round
Sure.
year-round tenants. And that's it. Thank you for your
Great.
time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. How about you, Carol?
Yeah, I just looked at this morning, so I didn't have as much time, but I agreed with your comments that you made about the different landscaping that you were going to put in. Some year-round landscaping would be great. I was concerned with having the 4 bedrooms upstairs and only 5 parking lot spaces, 1 ADA, and now you've got 5 office buildings that people in the offices need to park. Like, you're going to be overflowing into parking in some of the parking lots that exist around you and on Main Street, correct?
Sure. Yeah, that is something that we've kind of thought about. I think that one thing that's in our favor is, you know, we kind of have opposite time schedules of, you know, hopefully the families that live above us, with the thought that, you know, by the time that they're out to work, where we'll be in the office. With that said, that is like a transitional part of Main Street as it stands right now. There's not a ton of retail on, that upper or kind of middle section of Main Street there. We've lived in the town our whole lives, and it just has always felt that, it never really fills up all that much with the parking in that area on the street. So I think we probably would be relying on street parking for.
Does Hazard allow parking on there, or is that, I feel like doesn't have side parking. It's like two-way traffic that,
So
I don't know if
as it stands, there is a 1 hour parking
Okay.
signs along the opposite side of Hazard that the building is proposed to be on. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to speak? You can come up to the mic and,
Yeah, no, I think there's currently 1 hour parking there, and then there's street parking on Main Street as well.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Carol. Zach, I just had a couple things. If we could, Jay, could you bring up the first floor plan by chance? So you have the accessible parking space at the rear, but I'm wondering how somebody, is going to access the building. Do you have a sidewalk wrapping around the building? Or do you have, I don't see like a rear entrance?
Yes,
So
there will be a walkway, like you can see it in the back there, and then it's sort of, I think it might show it on the landscape plan. Let me just try to pull this up. Yes, okay, so you can see the walkway there. That will lead up to the wraparound porch, and then there's also a new, we have made a couple layout changes that we're talking about doing, and we do plan on putting a exterior door where the proposed closet is in between kind of the two office spaces, so that there is a easier entrance to that parking lot.
That makes sense. All right, so, and then I did notice you have a shed roof over the overhead door, the garage door, but is that going to be protruding beyond the sidewalk? Are you going to have any issues with a truck clipping that?
I don't think it's going to be protruding past the sidewalk. I mean, it is a good point. It is, we should definitely consider that. So maybe that's a conversation we could have with the architect, but yeah, we'll keep that in mind.
That's just, details later on, but certainly that's something to think about.
No, we appreciate it.
And the only other item was, I didn't see anything relative to lighting, any outdoor lighting fixtures or, lighting in the parking lot.
Yeah. I did have this conversation with the architect, and there's nothing that's been proposed on a drawing yet, but he did make the recommendation that we have some kind of downlighting at the back of the parking lot with kind of keeping that neighbor in mind on the rear. So we could draw that in or have that sketched for the next public hearing.
So a independent pole?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Is there a preference of the planning board for lighting, or?
I believe, it's going to have to prohibit any kind of light trespass, but certainly the, floodlights aren't going to be allowed. Everything's going to have to be shielded, but, you can recognize the safety of having lighting in a parking lot, but overlit probably isn't going to be, viewed, favorably. But certainly I'd put that down as something to, prepare for when you go before the planning board.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that you may not have time to turn around proposed lighting revision in time for the planning board. So you may want to amend and request a waiver from the lighting requirement, so that they can possibly have the administrative officer sign off on that at final, once you do have that drawn up.
Okay.
So just something to consider. Depending on your turnaround is how quick you can get the revisions in, is going to dictate if it's going to slow you down at planning or not.
Okay.
Either that or the lighting doesn't get considered and you have to come back at some point later for a minor change to a plan.
Okay.
Once you get it figured out.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, is there any other comments or concerns want to bring up? So I have currently 3 items. One being the sewer service location be considered with respect to the utility pole. Number 2 being landscape plan be reviewed for possibility of introducing evergreens. And number 3, the lighting be solidified. Is there another one?
Yeah, we just, we're just picking up on the landscape plan, which we were looking at the site plan, but the site plan doesn't show a walkway along the side, but the landscape plan does. I want to caution you that that's proposed fully within the town right-of-way. It doesn't actually, address the road per se. And I'm not sure that we would allow that in a sense. Just because it's not, it's just a private improvement in the public right-of-way is not something that we would normally allow, like in that fashion. If you wanted to run a sidewalk along the entire length of the property, that could be accessed by, people walking along hazard, that would be fine. But just to put that little section in the public right-of-way is not necessarily going to be something we're going to allow.
Okay.
The site plan is more like what we would do. I think you terminate it at the property line, but we would allow that to go all the way to the paved surface.
Yeah. So I guess if we were to redesign the walkway to be up against the building, would that be preferred? And does the exterior door in the rear solve the issue of having that walkway wrap all the way from the parking lot to the front of the building?
Well, it doesn't look like you have a lot of distance to the property line from the structure, the proposed structure, unless it's 4 feet. What is it?
I don't know. It should be on there.
But to answer your question, Zach, if you introduce that rear door where the closet is, that would provide access to the business and it would be accessible, handicap accessible, correct?
Okay.
So you could eliminate that sidewalk.
It's 4. It's 3 feet, and I don't know that that's
3 foot 3. Yeah.
That's probably not going to meet your ADA accessibility because of.
It wouldn't, but if your accessibility access is where that closet is in between those 2 pink offices, that would meet the requirements.
Okay.
So you wouldn't even need that walkway to wrap around the building.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's something to explore, but it
You can
sounds
go
like
straight out to the street, is what I'm saying. If you do want to put a walkway, it should go straight to the street, and then the street's got to be your access, unless you want to run a sidewalk along the entire length.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Can I add to that, if you're taking away that sidewalk, let's do some fabulous landscaping that'll soften the height and the scale of that building.
Okay.
Like that'll give you a little bit of extra elbow room to do some fabulous landscaping along that
Okay.
edge.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, so I have 4 conditions here. First being the sewer service location be considered with respect to the utility pole. Number 2 being the landscape plan reviewed for possible introduction of evergreens. Lighting plan be solidified by the applicant. And number 4, that the sidewalk be removed from the right-of-way and possible introduction of landscaping in that area. Anybody want to make a motion on this?
Can I ask a question before? What's the rules on the landscaping that would be in the town right-of-way technically? Should we just all together stay out of the town right-of-way or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, unless it's approved by Public Services as part of a street tree or something like that that's being proposed, but you don't own that property, so you necessarily don't have the right to maintain it, or we don't have the right to force you to maintain it necessarily. I mean, I guess we could, but it's a practice we wouldn't want to get in.
Okay. Thank you.
But, I just caution that, if it inevitably happens that somebody will say, listen, that's encroaching into whatever, and then we're going to ask you to remove it if it's in the town right away.
Right. Understand.
If you don't, then we go down and it's a tractor with a big mower on an arm, and it shoots off, and it's not pretty. So it's just best to keep it out of the town right away.
Appreciate the heads up.
Just for clarification, Rich, they could have a manicured lawn area, right? I mean, that's typical throughout town.
Okay, so I have 4 conditions. Then, does anybody want to make a motion regarding this application to forward it to the planning board? I'll make that motion. I'll make the motion to condition the approval with the 4 conditions outlined to the planning board.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Bourbonnais. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Any opposed? Oh, excuse me. Thank you. You're all set.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Greenhouse Dispensary, minor land development with Unified Development Review, preliminary plan, requiring a special use permit to convert the existing vacant structure to a retail cannabis dispensary with associated site improvements. Assessor's Plat 57-2, Lot 76, located at 711 Kingstown Road. Dispensary, or Greenhouse Dispensary LLC, the applicant. Offshore Development LLC, the owner. Who's present, wants to speak on this matter?
Hi, I'm Kenneth Tetzner. I represent Greenhouse Dispensary.
Good morning, Ken. Do you want to just walk us through, and then if we can introduce your team as needed?
Sure. So you want me to introduce the project?
Please.
First. So we're looking to do a retail cannabis facility at 711 Kingstown Road. In the past, the same location was approved through planning for a medical use cannabis site. We're not really changing too much of that plan. The only thing we're actually simplifying, we're going to use the existing building that's there because aesthetically it's a post and beam building. And we're just going to do a couple of bump outs, which originally were bump outs already with the greenhouses and everything else that they had on the location. We're not changing the site plan as far as DEM. We're in the process right now of approving that. I actually got an email late yesterday afternoon. They actually apologized because the DEM I've been up and down probably 5 times now. They're just having a problem with the online portal. So we should be getting that approved this week, maybe even today, she said. We do find this location to be the prime location in town. It's set back from the road. We do have a landscape plan that we are totally willing to listen to options to add anything that people would like to see, but we do plan on spending the money on landscaping to beautify the area, use the vegetation to kind of isolate the area a little as well.
Okay, are there any initial questions by the board for Mr. Tetzner?
You already spoke about it. You're keeping the original structure and then you're taking the greenhouses down. As I review just your basic permit here, I see the security fences and the relocation of the propane tank. So we'll just have to make sure the distances are correct and access is guaranteed 360 to the fire department. That's all I have currently.
Yep, definitely. Thank you.
Do you, so this is an increase of approximately how many square feet for the addition to the existing building?
So the total building with the upstairs will be around 2,200 square feet. We're not looking to build a monstrosity. The original site that they were going to use, they were going to put up a rather large building. We like the structure of the building. It's an old post and beam, as I mentioned. So we'd like to go with the look as well. We feel like it goes with the look of the community in the surrounding area. So the bump out would probably be, and I'd have to look at the plan, but I think it's 8 by 53 on the back, which was existing before. And then on the side, I want to say that's 22 by 31, if I remember correctly. Just a small bump out, which again there's a slab there and was existing. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you want to introduce any more members of your team to go over what you're proposing?
I mean, I can introduce everybody, but pretty much
Or do you,
they've chosen me to speak.
I mean, do you have anybody regarding traffic, or do you want to go over the parking and traffic circulation for the property and the use?
Yeah, so we used peer engineering, and actually the gentleman that did this engineering was originally the gentleman that did the site plan to begin with for the original approval. So he was very familiar with it. As far as traffic, these establishments, these businesses are not, I know people when they first came out, there were 5 of them and they were so busy, that's kind of faded away. There's going to be a lot more of them, so traffic won't be as heavy into the business, which, don't get me wrong, I hope it is, but realistically, that will be the case. We have 43 parking spots, which is, way more than sufficient. We have a huge lot. We have access one way in from 711 Kingstown Road, and then a separate exit as far as ingress and egress, so that also helps with the flow of traffic. There's also a long road, kind of, because it's set back, so we have kind of a queuing area as people pull in. Yeah, I'm just open to answer any questions.
Now, I had mentioned previously about a PAP or discussion with DOT if a PAP is required. Did you investigate that at all?
We are actually in the process. We don't believe it is required, but we have applied for it. We're just waiting for Jamie Rabbit to sign off on the municipal letter so we can get that application in. So that's the only thing holding us up there, but we are actively working on the PAP. In the past, there was a PAP, and their suggestion, I think, was something with lines. Not so much our property, but more of just some lines that they wanted to put different. But again, I think that's going to change. We all agree, because the traffic study shows that there's not as much traffic for these, being that there's going to be a lot more of them, and it's not that new of a concept.
Okay, why don't we go around the room? Dennis, you have anything further? Or?
Nothing further, thank you.
How about you, Mark?
I have no concerns at this time.
Rich?
You said you're using the same traffic study?
No, we did a new traffic study.
You did, all right, so is that
Yeah,
part of the?
but it was the same.
All right, so we'll review that.
Individual.
Then I have nothing at this time, we'll review the traffic study. That's
Yeah.
the biggest concern is always traffic with most of these types of things, but.
How about you, Susan?
Good morning.
Hi, Susan.
Well, I'll make up for those guys, because I got a whole list of questions for you.
Okay, let's do
It's
it.
not going to be as easy as you thought.
Oh,
So first
boy.
off, just out of curiosity, you've stated twice there's going to be a lot more of them.
So I believe the new thing is 2 per zone. So 6 zones, there'll be 12, no more than that. How many is it, Jeff? 4 per zone. So 24 new facilities throughout the state.
Sorry, can the market support 24 facilities throughout the state? Because I've been to the one out in Exeter, and if there's two cars in the parking lot, it seems to be busy.
Exeter's a lot busier than you think.
Huh.
And I'm sure by us putting one in South Kingstown, I know a lot of people in town always, so a lot of this, you know, personally, I do cannabis gummies to go to sleep at night. It's kind of for my health, and that's the only way I can shut down my brain and get a good night's sleep, feel good in the morning. So, I mean, a lot of this is to improve the quality of life, the well-being of,
Yeah.
you know, the customers through cannabis. And to answer your original question, yeah, I do believe there is.
Huh, okay. Just curious.
I hope so.
Okay, so I have a couple of comments about the plans.
Okay.
So and there were some things that I was maybe confused about on the plans, so could I just make a couple of notes? On sheet 2, you have a portion of the property being shown on the plans. It would be useful to see the entirety of the property on the plans, because I had to sort of locate myself as to the entirety of the property. That sheet would be helpful to me to review it if I could. I don't know, the SWA up in the corner, it sort of goes off. Can you add, maybe just shrink that so the entirety of the property is on those plans?
Susan, just to clarify, this is a aerial photo showing the soil group notations. It's a checklist item. It's required for them to provide this so that we know the soil classifications in the area, but there are some other ones that just doesn't have an aerial photo underneath that capture more of the site. I just wanted to be clear that it wasn't necessarily a misstep on the applicant's part.
No, and I wasn't implying that it was a misstep. Okay. And then on sheet 3, I would like to have seen exactly where the stream is and the wetland. And then you've got some colored dashed lines, but no legend to explain what the colored dashed lines are. And I think it would have been helpful for me to review this if I could have referred to a quick legend to tell me what the pink dashed lines were, or what the, you know, what is that blue line? Like, it would be nice to have a legend on that map. And where exactly is the wetland? And then the pink dash abruptly ends, because I understand that the stream isn't contiguous through the entire site, but maybe the planning board will pick up on that, and that will need to be explained, why that 100-foot wetland buffer line sort of abruptly ends in the site. It's a little
Okay, I'll talk to
confusing.
the engineer.
And there's also no topo map included that's really legible on the plans, and I think that would be helpful also.
Okay.
I went to the site yesterday just to understand for myself, I hope that's okay, exactly how it was laid out, because there seems to be a stream or a gully behind the site, but it wasn't, I needed more clarification for me than what I could get from the maps.
Okay.
So it would be helpful to just expand a little bit on that information. The bioretention basins, are you planning to plant those with wetland natives or some kind of rain garden thing, or is that just stones or riprap? Like, do you know what the bioretention basins are planning to be?
We are totally up for suggestions as far as the landscaping. If there's something the planning board thinks they would like to see or they think would improve the property, we're totally open for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely work with you on that.
Okay. I can't speak for the gang, but I think that typically we would all like to see a rain garden with natives as opposed to, you know, a gully with riprap.
As we would as well.
Yeah.
I've seen those in town and not a fan.
Yeah, thank you.
So we will do that for sure.
So you had mentioned that you were retaining the trees along the driveway, but the property that was Bobby G's has been sold to People's Credit Union, and they had a landscape plan. Have you looked at their landscape plan along that driveway to try to meld it with yours? Because yours says you're saving some trees, but the trees don't look very good. So,
Yeah, and I told the landscape architect to, you know, put the special touch on there and actually beef it up, make it as nice as he could, because that's actually what we're looking to do as well.
Yeah.
We want our location, you know, based on what it is too, to have nice vegetation, nice trees, nice entrance. That's our vision. So I actually have a meeting with People's Credit Union tomorrow on site, and we're going to try to work together to figure that out, to make it as beautiful as possible on the way in. And also, My landlord, I don't own the property, my landlord owns the property that Midas is on, so we have discussions with him as well. So we envision a beautiful entrance.
That's excellent.
Yeah, with a lot of vegetation.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's great. I love that you're reusing the old building and keeping that aesthetic. That's the best. That's great.
Yeah.
The artist renderings of the buildings, though, don't quite match up with your landscaping, and I'm just noting that because that might come up at planning also.
Okay.
And I really love your excellent choice of natives. I think you've made some great choices
Awesome.
on your
Thank
natives.
you. So let's just touch on that for a second, if I could. So you said the look of the building doesn't. What do you suggest? Because
No, I think retaining that old look of the building,
Right.
and then adding it and calling it greenhouse dispensary. I really like that aesthetic.
Okay.
I think that was it was generous to the community who doesn't like change, and it's a pretty building. So I appreciate that you are
okay, great. That was our
salvaging that
concept.
building and keeping that look. Like, I think it's just really attractive.
Great. Thank you.
So thank you. And then my last question, so you have the dumpster around behind the building, but it's inside a security fence. Will there be issues with whoever's picking up your rubbish to access that space? Does it have to happen during business hours? Like, how does that work out?
No, it shouldn't be an issue, and I'm very friendly with Narragansett Rubbish Removal. I had a business in town for a long time, and when I put up the fence, I went over it, brought them out. So I'll actually work with them directly to make sure that we have that relationship. I don't want to upset them either, and I've always worked with them in the past, so we'll make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have one last question. Is 43 parking spaces excessive? I think that your business isn't a lingering about kind of business, and whether or not we can pare down the amount of parking on site and thereby give you more landscape space or outdoor space or something, because it does seem like 43 spots for a very transient business. It's not a coffee shop, so can we pare down the amount of parking you have?
Do you mind if I just quickly?
So this is Ed Pimentel. He's a professional planner.
We had the same idea in mind, so what we were thinking, envisioning that the planning board...
Microphone, please.
Edward Pimentel, Pimentel. We actually had the same idea in mind because this business, there's experience with this business now throughout the state, and we've gained experience through Massachusetts. We think it's excessive parking too, but we also wanted to make sure we didn't create a situation. So what we're thinking is, if we can phase the parking and make it landscaped in the meantime, and then if it's ever needed, we'd come back for a modification before the board. If that's to the board's liking, and of course, it's actually it's also to their needs too, but that was an idea we were just bantering around. Maybe make it into a phased, and if you don't need it, it stays landscaped, but it's prepared and it's set aside for parking if we need it, and we get the approval and a modification from the board.
Personally, I think that's an excellent idea.
Okay.
And the planning board, I think, would appreciate that thoughtfulness. And if you reflected that in some way of delineate on your plan how you would have that.
Sure.
I suspect the planning board would like that thoughtfulness that you're having in advance.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
And that was the end of my questions. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
How about you, Carol?
I like following Susan. She actually hits on most of the things I was going to ask about, because I'm concerned with landscaping as a conservation commissioner. And I also was wondering about the excessive parking, but the explanation that you just made really covered all I was going to ask. So I guess I'm good.
Great.
So you're not growing, processing, nothing like that? This is strictly the sales?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to add something?
I know this is a stretch, but because of the timeline with the lottery, what would be the deadline if we could get the team together to put forth all the information that we've gathered today? What would be the deadline to meet the planning board's requirements?
As I've had conversation with Ken previously, we have this scheduled for the public hearing, I believe, in November?
November 25th, I believe.
Yeah.
November 25th. So everything is lined up for it to go forward on that day. what Mr. Tetzner's responsibility is to get complete, and I know he's been actively submitting, and we received something the other day. So it's scheduled, it's ready to go. It's a matter of staff reviewing what's been submitted to determine if it's satisfactory.
Sure. And just because I've done a lot of the UDR in a lot of communities, I haven't had the pleasure in South Kingstown yet. Is it one of those things where you bifurcate the process, or do you do it both in the same night, the specials?
No, it's collective, it's together.
Excellent.
It's considered and voted on the same night. It's really broken out, the motions are separated.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so I mean, the only item I had with respect to the project was the, you know, to echo Susan Carroll's point, was the excessive parking, but it sounds like, you know, that's going to be in one of the 3 conditions we've talked about.
We're actually happy to hear that.
Yeah, so I mean, based on the calculations on the, you know, what would be required by ordinance was 8 spaces, but, you know, certainly 8 wouldn't meet your needs or the demand I would expect for like a mercantile use, retail. But certainly 41 might be on the heavy end, it seems it. So the 3 conditions we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, number 1 being PAP from RIDOT to be determined if it's applicable. Number 2, to update the site plan with regard to topography map, wetlands, and color legend key.
Okay.
And number 3, to identify the phased parking plan and, you know, phase 1, phase 2, and the number of spaces.
Sure.
Board members have any other?
For Mr. Tetner's benefit, is there a preference on a phased parking approach? Looking at the plan, first thing that would jump out to me is it would make sense to eliminate the spaces that are on the west side of that abut the property lines, and only have spaces up against the building, sort of. That'll help pull back, give you some distance away from the property line, and maybe give you some room to landscape if you really wanted to. But there is merit to also just having one parking lot, one area from a runoff perspective. So that's something to consider. I wanted to kind of put this out there so he has some idea of if he's going to go back and consider an alternative design, that he kind of has some idea of what direction he should go in.
Appreciate that.
And just for clarification, is, because I can't see it from here, is that asphalt or is this pervious parking area?
We haven't gotten that far yet. I guess I'd put it back to, it'd probably be asphalt. But again, we're open for suggestions.
Oh, I guess do the plans show if it's pavement or if it's so it's renovated?
Yeah, it just says renovated.
I think that should be clarified.
Clarify that? Okay.
And sorry, can I ask you about the fence, the stockade fence that's running along the stream? Is that stockade fence staying? And is it denoted on one of these plans? And where does the landscape fall in relationship to that stockade fence? So that was maybe part of my questions about the site plans, because...
And I think, I hate to interrupt and sidetrack this, but something that has not been mentioned is that there is an agreement with DEM on this property, I believe, to revegetate an area in the back that was cleared adjacent to the wetland. So I think that's when you're considering a landscape plan or landscaping, that's an important consideration, that there is an area in the back of this property, I'm trying to get to it, that this area here in the back corner that DEM wanted to come back naturally. So I think that's something to consider when we're talking about landscaping in and around the building itself, because it is fairly close to that area.
So we're basically, one of our big ideas is, I live in town, obviously, that lot has been sitting there for a while and just, it's not the best looking. With this project, we're looking to clean that up and make it really nice visually and aesthetically to the town. And so we're open for suggestions, like I said. So if you have suggestions, we definitely, we're on board.
So thank you, I'm sticking my nose in again. So do you know, does the stockade fence, so I didn't walk the whole thing, I just saw that it was along, sort of where the frog pond is, that's got frogs and duckweed. Does it go all the way around the property, or is it just along that side, and is it staying? And that, I think, is something the planning board will also ask about, is the fence, is that stockade, is it being replaced, is it being cleaned up, is it going to be replaced with natives? Like, what's your plan for the,
Right,
that
as
whole
of
area?
right now, I don't really have the plan, but based on what you're saying, I think moving forward, I don't know if a stockade fence would be the best, maybe vegetation, but we can definitely discuss options. I think the fence that's there now is not really that nice, so we would either improve that or go with vegetation. Does that answer the question?
yes, except if you're on a time crunch, you might want to have some of that sorted out before,
Yeah, we'll have
before
it sorted out
planning.
for the next meeting. I mean, I have partners, so I just don't want to make the decision while I'm
Yeah.
standing here. I want to talk to them and then come back with what our plan is, but
But we don't want to send you away to come back a month later
yeah, we don't wanna
because
do
of
that.
little things like that.
so is there, let me ask you, is there something that you think the planning board, I'm on the EDC, so I sat in on a lot of the meetings with the planning board, so I kind of get it, but is there something that aesthetically you guys would like to see there?
I think what you've done, your instincts and what you've chosen are great choices. So I wouldn't, and I couldn't speak on behalf of the planning board,
Okay.
but I know that for me, what you've proposed is great. Like, I love the use of the building and the natives and what you're doing and the parking. Like, it appears you've been huge thoughtful about your choices. So I can't even tell you how the board would feel about a stockade fence, or if we'd even care, as long as it was worked for you and it was a thoughtful enough design that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
So I think
I
probably
don't know that
what-
anybody would care about what
My next
kind of
step
fence
would
you-
be get the landscape architect, meet him on site with my partners, and really digest what's going on there
Mhm.
right now, and then figure out the best move moving forward.
Yeah,
But we'll have a plan, for sure.
okay.
Anything else? Committee members? I mean, right now I just have 3 conditions. One being PAP from DOT, if applicable, site plan update for wetlands, including legend, and determining the parking surface, say renovated. I think that should be clarified. So that 3rd condition be phased parking plan and solidifying that parking surface.
Okay.
Does anybody want to add anything to that list? All right, 3. Anybody want to make a motion for this to go to the planning board?
I'll make a motion to forward this project to the planning board.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A motion by Susan, second by Rich. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Great, thank you. I'll see you in a month.
Item E, so that's it. Item E is adjournment. Is there a motion? Motion by Dennis, second? I'll second. Second by Susan. All those in favor? All right. Thank you, everybody.